Hello everybody, this is Graham with the Children of Iluvatar, and today we're going to be going over two main things. First is kind of a channel update, talking about why we haven't uploaded in so long, and what we plan to do in the future. And the second thing is more of a book review of The Children of Hurin, one of the more recent books that came out, published by Christopher Tolkien from J.R.R. Tolkien's notes. But now we're going to be moving on from channel news and talking about the book we are going to be reviewing. This book is The Children of Hurin, and it's one of the three books that were released after the Silmarillion, compiled from the notes that Professor J.R.R. Tolkien left behind. The book starts out with the family of Turin, the son of Hurin, talking about his heritage. All you really need to know for this book, though, is that Turin's mother is related to Beren, who married Luthien. That'll be its own video. And his father is the king or the leader of the House of Hador. The book continues on to the Battle of Unnumbered Tears, which was a siege of Angband. Angband was the fortress that Morgoth created and fought in the War of Wrath. That battle ended badly, and Hurin never returns from the battle, and his family thinks he died. But he was really captured by Morgoth, who thinks he knows the location of the hidden city of Gondolin, which he does. But he's bound by an oath not to say. Oaths are very powerful in Tolkien's world, as you can see with the Oathbreakers in Lord of the Rings. He doesn't reveal the location, so Morgoth decides to torment him by placing a curse on his family, and basically making him watch as everything he loves is destroyed. Now, after the War of Wrath, it is found out that some of the ancestors of those who would become the Easterlings betrayed the men and elves fighting Morgoth because they were promised freedom and lands. Morgoth, of course, breaks this promise and only gives them Dorloman, the lands of the House of Hador. And he only does this so that there is essentially a wall between him and the elves of Doriath and Nargothrond. The people of Dorloman are made into thralls, including Hurin's family. Turin, the main character, is sent by his mother to the elf hold of Doriath. She had spoken about this with Hur before he left. The reason she does this is because she is kin to Beren Barahir, and Beren had married the king of Doriath's daughter Luthien, but that's a story for another time. He lives in Doriath for a while, where he becomes a woodsman of the elves, and becomes fast friends with one Beleg Strongbow, the greatest woodsman to ever live. Turin lives like this for a while, until one day an elf by the name of Seiros, who had always despised Turin because he was a man, had a fight with him that ended in Seiros' accidental death by falling into a ravine. This leads to Turin being accused of murder, and his life as an outlaw began. Later he is proven innocent by an elf maiden named Nelas, who had seen how Seiros had died. But Turin chooses not to return to Doriath because he thinks he had lost the respect of the other elves there. Turin lived as an outlaw for some time, actually leading a band of ruffians after he killed their leader. Lives out in the woods hunting food and orcs until one day his friend Beleg arrives at the camp. However, Turin is out hunting, and his brigands take Beleg prisoner. When Turin returns, he is furious that his men did this and releases Beleg immediately, asking him why he came. Beleg responds he had come to see if Turin would not return to Doriath and to try and convince him to reconsider. However, Turin is adamant that he will not return, so Beleg chooses to stay with his friend. After many months in the wild, Turin and his men came across 3 petty dwarfs. Petty dwarves are smaller and more skittish than normal dwarves, such as Thorin and company. In the confusion, one of the petty dwarves is shot, and the dwarf father Mim curses the brigand who shot him, saying, "If ever you pick up a bow and arrow again, you will meet your end by one." However, after some negotiating and a few threats, Turin convinces the dwarf to let them stay with them for a while, and the dwarf actually grows fond of Turin. However, he loathes Beleg, for at one point elves hunted dwarves, not knowing what they were. We are now going to skip forward a few months to the day Turin was betrayed the first time. Out of hatred for Beleg, Mim betrayed the outlaws to a passing group of Morgoth's orcs, on the condition that Turin would not be harmed. Of course, the orcs lied and promised not to harm him. Turin was captured and Beleg escaped, but followed the orcs, and later that night tried to free Turin, who was unconscious and bound. Beleg took out his knife and cut Turin's hands free, but in the process he nicked his wrist, and Turin awoke in a rage, thinking the orcs come to torment him. In an instant he pulled Beleg's sword away from him and ran him through, killing one of his oldest and dearest friends. Another elf whom the orcs had imprisoned, named Gwyndor, who Beleg had freed earlier, now grabbed Turin, who was in a stupor, for he now saw who it was that he had slain. But Turin went nowhere. Meanwhile the orcs heard the commotion and thought there was an all-out raid of elves attacking them, for who would be foolish enough to come to an orc camp alone? They fled back to Angband, leaving Turin and Gwyndor alone, with the body of Beleg's strongbow. Thank you all so much for watching. I really underestimated how long it would take to make a video of this style when I started, but I really enjoyed making it, and I think I want to keep doing this kind of content. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make a part 2, and that should come out shortly, not 5 months from now. But until then, have a good one. I am Fianaro, and Megovanen.